We're moving into week 8 for the NBL 2026 season. And boy, was last week a little bit weird when it comes to it. Let's make sure I have that. So we went back to week number 7 here, and this was last week's games. There were a lot of kind of how it was thought here. Everything was pretty much the exact same. A lot of games were pretty close, and there were games that were completely one-sided. We had the Knights, they beat the Angels. The Panthers beat the Cardinals. Well, that was a very high-scoring game. Legends beat the Dogs. Actually, Legends demolished the Dogs. Foxes beat the Giants. Fairly, but still, they did. The Kings beat the Hawks in overtime. Tigers beat the Ravens. Ravens still had not won a game yet. The Chargers ended up edging against the Stars. The Pirates demolished the Indians. So the Pirates have their first win of the season. The Bears were able to beat the Dragons. Did pretty well on that one. Otters beat the Packers. That was a pretty one-sided game. The Lightning beat the Werewolves. There was a lot higher scoring game than was actually predicted. So, yeah, the Lightning Werewolves have done really well. They've actually come back somewhat for it. The Bulldogs beat the Falcons. No surprises there in that regard. Jets pretty much demolished UNC. Saints beat the Browns. The Cats beat the Athens. Although the Athens will have everyone their full force back going into the next week. The Bobcats beat the Colts. Dolphins beat the Texans, actually demolished the Tex. Huskies beat the Beagles. The Lions beat the Warriors. They are now first in their division. And then the Lynx beat the Supermen. Here's what we have for last week. Here's all we have for the standings right now in this week. I apparently need to move the seats over a little bit here. This is the current seeds if the playoffs were to occur today. No teams still have been eliminated yet, although the Falcons, the Ravens, the Tex, the Packers, and the Werewolves and the Athens are all very close to being eliminated right now. So they're all going to be in a position. Next week, they lose. They probably won't be able to. They definitely won't win the division. But they might not even make it into the playoffs if they do lose this next week. And they're still in the playoff position right now, a possibility. But who knows if that happens? What's going to happen next week when that occurs? The Cats and Jets are still up there. They're still in the winners. They have one of the higher seeds who come in the offensive and defensive positions. They're very high up there. And I need to go ahead and put a full thing here to make sure it's they're very high up. Panthers still have a landslide in almost every of their team. The number 2 team right now is the Saints. They have almost 1,000 points. And the Panthers and the Saints are kind of fans. Now, the Panthers and Saints will have to face off in week 10, which is a couple weeks from now. Let's go ahead and get into what's going to happen for this next week. We have week 10. Some predictions have already occurred. We've got the Panthers and UNC to start us off, and this is going to be an absolute landslide. The UNC and the Panthers played in a lot they've played a ton of times. Unfortunately, not really in a position that they're going to actually do super well in the context here. In fact, UNC and the Panthers have played a lot. Make sure I have it right here. In fact, if I looked back here, I don't know if I don't have this updated currently. Probably should put this up here. Oh, it is. It's on the team roster. So if you go to team rosters, it's also on that one with the ball bowlings. If you looked back at the ball bowl, the UNC, which is the United National Cats, has made it to the Bowl Bowl a lot of times. They made it 2017, 2015, 2017, and they made it in both times in 2012. That was a little bit of a different story. And of those times, 4 of them were against the Panthers. In all of those, the Panthers were undefeated at that time. In the combination, the UNC was only down 1, and the only 2 games that they lost were against the Panthers. Unfortunately, at that time, the Panthers and UNC would play at least once a season, and they had a total of 18 games at that time. Panthers were undefeated during those times. The Panthers also have been making to the Ball Bowl. Make sure I have it right. A grand total 12, 14. Made a total 14 times in a row prior to this. So they made a ton of times at that given time. So this is going to be a pretty big matchup. I won't be surprised if this game is going to be not one-sided at all, because these two teams have faced off a lot. I'm going to pick the Panthers. I just don't think UNC has got the big picture off that one. But I think there is a possibility at this time that UNC could make us a game of a really close game. UNC currently is down there and 36 in defense, which is second to last, and 28th in offense. So I think this is going to be a completely one-sided game. So I'm going with the Panthers winning this game. We got the Ravens and the Pirates. Ravens are currently have not won a game yet, and that they're down like really low. They're 33rd in total defense and 34th in total offense, which is really, really low down there. Now, the good news is they're playing against their opponents are 30 and 25th, so not exactly the best position off of the context here. So looking at this game could go out, and I can see this game being the first game the Ravens will win. However, I'm picking the Pirates winning this game. It looks like there's a possibility the Ravens end up coming back and win this game. They did do pretty well this last week, but unfortunately, I just don't see it. I just don't see that they're going to come back and win this game. We have the Indians and the Tigers. The Tigers are currently still undefeated, and the Indians are, I think they have a win now. They're not in the same division. Oh, they're 3 and 4, because the Indians are 3 and 4, but they're 33rd in offense and 11th in defense. I think the defensive will be probably making a bigger deal than anything else, but I'm still going to pick the Tigers to win this game. We have the Jets and the Browns. The Jets and Browns. I think are the Jets and the Browns? They're on the same division. Okay, Jets are undefeated. They're 7-0. They're 4th and 3rd. On the other side, the Browns have had some really bad games. They're 1-6 at this point, 25th and 37th, which I believe is 37th is dead last when it comes to offense. Now, granted, they've actually played the last 2 weeks pretty tough games, which really make hits. Unfortunately, the Browns cannot win this game. Rephrase that: they will not win this game because they're just not going to do this. The Jets are number 1 in the league when it comes. Well, they're one of the top teams. They're number 4, I think, if you look at the actual top teams. Jets are number 4. The only Cats are number 3. Panthers are number 2, or tied for first with the Saints. We got the Lightning and the Packers. Okay, this one's a tough one because both these teams are really going to be really hard. If we looked at last week between the Lightning were able to win that game against the Werewolves. But the Werewolves, again, put up a really good fight in that game. To be honest, this game should not have been close. And because of that, the Lightning might find themselves in a position where they might not win this next week. And it's going to be very, very tough when it comes down to it. I do have to say one thing about the Packers. The Packers are still a fairly decent team. They are not. They're 0-7. They are 8th in offense somehow, but they've basically had a hard time. They're 37th in defense, so they're like second to dead last. And to me, unfortunately, I just don't see the Packers doing it. They might have a good chance to put up a good fight, but unfortunately, it's going to be the Lightning win this game. We have the Knights and Huskies. Now, this could have easily been a game of the week. There's another game, though, that's very close to that. We get the Huskies, who are currently 5-2 with a 20th and then 5th. This is a tough one because the Huskies are very high up there when it comes to it. Versus the Knights, they're also 5-2. The problem with the Knights is the Knights are not good in defense. They're 32nd when it comes to defense, and it's just not really good. Now, I may have messed up some of the actual numbers, so they might be a little bit higher than that. But based on the context, the one game they had, I think, was against the Panthers. And to me, they've had 2 pretty tough games. But both of those games were in the division. So I'm going to say that it's going to be very tough. It's going to be a lot closer. I think the Knights are going to have a really good game. And unfortunately, it's going to be down to the wire. I think this is going to be a game that goes to overtime. And I'm picking the Knights. I think it's going to be very close. It could go either way. I will not be surprised if this game goes to overtime and the Huskies win. That's completely possible for me. We have the Bears and the... I did not do that right. Bears and the Foxes. The Bears and Foxes. Foxes are 4-3. They're 16th and 12th versus the Foxes, the Bears, who are 3-4, 18-18. Though this is going to actually be a pretty tough game. The Foxes are slightly favored in this game, and honestly, it's going to be a really good game. This game is going to be very close, and it's going to be very tough for me to pick either one of these games. I could see either one of these. I'm going to pick the Bears to win this game, but it's honestly a very close game. I picked the Bears. It's not going to be. I won't be surprised if this game could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if the Foxes do end up winning this game. They're 4-3, and that will probably put them in second place, or put them into the insured playoffs, into a pretty good spot. Currently, the Foxes are in the 8th seed, the Hawks are the 7th seed. So, to be honest, that would be kind of like switching places for them. And losing this game might knock them out of the playoffs. But we'll see what happens off the edge. We have the Hawks and the Dragons. Now, the thing is, the Hawks are not in the same division as that. They are 4-3. They're 11th and 22nd. Yeesh, tough one going at because the Dragons, they're 1-4. I don't know what's going to happen in this one, but it's going to be the Hawks to win this game, which is a little bit unfortunate to the Foxes because they kind of want them to win. They want the Dragons to win so that they can get up one ranking. But unfortunately, I just don't see it's going to happen. We got the Otters and the Athens. Now, the Otters and the Athens are going to be it's going to be tough. It's going to be a much more base game because the R's are back up. The Athens are back up to full strength. I think that's right. Might be wrong about that. Let me just check that. I think they are back to full strength now. They are full strength. Now, they were actually nothing, but they were full strength last week. But I think what happened for this one, correctly, can we get yours? To confirm, the players were active, could have been active last week, but they did not play. Most of those players played this last week. Partly because they were playing against I think it was a weaker team. They were playing against a team that they probably weren't going to win against, which they did not win. They might have gone a little bit more thin, so this week is the week they are probably going to end up playing, and we'll see if that's actually questions actually occur here. I still think the R's are going to win this game. The Athens Mobby will put some more strength in there, probably get somewhere around 70 points, but I think it's going to be very tough. We got the Superman and the Warriors. Now, this is going to be a tough game. Superman and the Warriors. Superman are currently 13th and 19th. They're 5-2. First in the division right now. Versus the Warriors, who are 4-3, 10th and 20th. This is going to be very interesting because both these teams are very close in the actual percentage when it comes to actual scoring. And to be honest, this game could go either way. But I do think it's going to be a very close game. I won't be surprised if this game goes to overtime and the winner of this game is going to be in a really good position. I'm going to say right now, I think the Super are going to take a slight edge on this game. It's going to be close. And I think this is another game that's going to go probably close to overtime. The Techs and the Legends. Oh, yeah, the Legends are favored by 9. That's just not fair. The Techs are 0-7. They have one of the worst offenses in the league. They're like third in offense, worst offense in the league, scoring only 361 points at this point. Versus you have the Legends, who are kind of in the middle of both sides, but they have like almost 600 points, scoring about 85 points per game. Versus the Techs are only scoring like 52 points per game. The Legends are going to win this game. It is going to be an absolute landslide. That is not really a fair analysis. We have the Lynx and the Beagles. I think this is a divisional game. It is not. The Lynx are 6-1 right now. They're 13th and 20th. And then you have the Beagles, who are 1-6. I won't be surprised if the Beagles do come up and win this game because of the context. The Beagles are in a really good position. They have one of the best defenses. They're 7th when it comes to defense. But I don't know that it's going to be enough. I think the Lynx will probably overpower in this game, and the Lynx will win this game. We have the Falcons and the Bobcats. The Bobcats are 5-2. And then you have the Falcons, who are 6.5 losses. They're 0-6-1. Now, no chance to win this game. I don't know why it's bolded, but okay. It's not going to be the game. Falcons, honestly, I picked the Falcons to actually make the playoffs. At this point, they're not making the playoffs. They're not going to come close. I will be surprised if they become one of the worst teams. Now, there's a couple teams there. The Ravens are still probably in the right boundaries to be able to be the worst team. But in the context, it's going to be very, very tough. We have the Bulldogs and Dogs. Now, we have the dog teams facing off against each other. Dogs are 3-4. They're 14th and dead last at 38th in points allowed. Now, grant that points allowed is kind of iffy because the Panthers did face it off against the Dogs at that time, and they scored 300-something points. So that one's kind of iffy. I don't know if that ranking is really accurate. They're probably closer to the 20th. Versus you have the Bulldogs. Missing the Bulldogs. I've lost the Bulldogs. Versus the Bulldogs, who are also 3-4. So this game is going to really decide currently if either team makes the playoffs. Dogs are just out of the playoffs right now. The Bulldogs are at the bottom edge of that. So both of them are kind of fighting for a playoff spot right now. The Bulldogs are 21st and 29th. Versus the Dogs really are 14th, and who knows what their defense actually is, because if they didn't face against the Panthers, be honest, they were probably against. I'm going to pick the Dogs to win this game. It's going to be a very, very close game. So let's go ahead and see how one goes on. We have got the Cardinals and the Colts. The Cardinals are surprising. They have been one of the better teams. They're 7th in offense and 30th in defense. Their defense still kind of struggles, but they're getting 107 points a game versus you have the Colts, who are way down here. They're 2-5. They're scoring about 80 points a game. I think, honestly, the Cardinals are going to win by a lot more than what has been predicted. I think they're going to win probably like 30 points. 10 points might be inaccurate. We have the Kings and the Knights. Kings and Giants. Now, I think the Kings and Giants have played already this season. I might be wrong about that. Never mind, they will not have played. If they did play, there'd be a problem. So, because they're not in the same division. Okay, so they have not played. And on the context here, this is going to be a tough game. The Kings are 5-2. The Giants are 3-4. They're both pretty good teams, but they both have really strong defenses, and I think that's what's going to make a difference. Whoever has a stronger defense is going to win this game. And to me, that is going to be the Giants to win this game. It really comes down to a lot of things. I think the Giants are going to be slightly better. It's going to be a very tough game. Honestly, the Giants, if they do win, they could move up to second place in their division in the NBL South. As for the Kings, they're going to be up there, they're going to be first place no matter what happens. So I think it makes sense. I'm going to skip the game a week from right now. We have the Chargers and the Giants. They are in the same division, right? Dolphins, never mind, they're not. Dolphins are 6-1 right now. The Chargers are 4-3. Both these teams are pretty strong. Both these teams are actually around the same. The real difference is the Dolphins. I think Mel Gang, who is on the Dolphins, is going to be the one that makes this entire thing. That is going to be tough. I'm picking the Dolphins, but it's going to be a very tough game. We have the Saints, the Stars, and the Lions. The Lions are 6-1. They're 5th in overall offense. Stars are 3-4. They're 22nd in both categories. It's going to be the Lions to win this game. The problem is the Stars are good, but they're not good enough to beat the Lions. The Lions are really in a position they're too good right now. And the Lions, honestly, are probably going to make the playoffs. Maybe not as the wild card slot, but currently all three teams. I mean, that would be incorrect there. Let me see. Lions, Otters, and Lynx. The Lions are 2nd seed. The Otters are not 3rd seed. They're the 6th seed. I got something wrong about. That's why. In the context, they have 3 teams that are going to be currently in the playoffs. If the playoffs were to happen now, of course, the actual point of the playoffs won't occur for probably at least 2 more weeks, probably week 10. In a position, this is going to be a very tough game. We have the Angels and Werewolves. If the Werewolves do what they did last week, which is actually doing really well, they are probably going to actually do well enough to win this game. The Angels are good, but they're not really good enough. I'm picking the Werewolves to win this game. I'm going to say it's an over. Okay, granted, it's also a very close game. Werewolves are favored by 1 in this game, so I'm going to go with the Werewolves. In this last game, we have the Saints and the New England Cats. Now, these two teams are facing off. Both of them are undefeated. The thing is, they're both also in basically the same position. They're both top 3 offense, and they're both top 5 defense. In my position here, I think the Saints are going to slightly take an edge off this one, and I really think the New England Cats have a good chance. Unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. I'm going to pick the Saints to win this game. And that's a little bit unfortunate, but I have to go with that happening. That is going to be it for this week. Next week, there might be some really good games. We have some games. Who the Panthers playing? Panthers playing the Dogs, which will be the second game that they played off against it. That time might change, and that game will be a really big factor. That is all for this week. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next week for week 9.